Okay, so I've been doing a fair bit of research on this fella named Curtis Yarvin. Very interesting. Very interesting. I've pretty much seen every single video he's got on YouTube now, which does take quite a few weeks to scour over and get everything done. But tell you what, holy shit, it was worth it. Some of the stuff this guy is talking about and the ideas that this guy's floating is incredible. Some of them fucking weird, some of them very fucking strange that I don't think are valid at all. But some of his points have really gotten me thinking. This video I'm going to show you today is probably the best one I've found that gets his point across in the quickest amount of time. I was going to do one of these longer ones that go for an hour plus, but I know a lot of you guys hate that. So against my better judgment, I've gone with a short one here. It's only, I think, 28 minutes, something like that. So nice quick one for you. We'll get it pumped out the way and hopefully it'll get you thinking after a while. I thought I would start it off with something I found very strange. So when you type his name into Google, it comes back with a typical response, right? Now, this is what got me going. So over here on the right, you've got your education, your wiki education. This is from Wikipedia, right? Or at least it claims it's from Wikipedia. Now, over here it says Brown University. Okay, that's quite prestigious. That's got a lot of rep behind it. But then it's got this other shit I've never fucking heard of before, right? The English School of Nicosia. Now, that may be a fucking awesome place. I have no idea. I've never heard of it. Wild Lake High School. Again, could be an awesome place. Never fucking heard of it. Very strange, because I've listened to this guy talk. He is, by a large fucking margin, way smarter than me. Okay? Now, when you click on his actual fucking wiki page and you start reading it, you notice something immediately on the fucking right over here. Education. It's all of a sudden fucking changed. The Johns Hopkins University. Brown University, University of California, Berkeley. Okay, I know every single fucking one of those. Why is that not listed on the main page? I don't know. If anyone knows, comment down below. I would really like to know why the fuck Wikipedia is doing that. And it doesn't even show the ones that he had before in the previous stage. On the previous website, in the Google response. Google page. What the fuck? What the actual fuck? Right? Now, if you read this, it says that he goes under the pen name Mensis Molebug. I don't know why. It's probably probably got some other meaning or some shit in there. I don't care. Honestly, don't care. But then it goes on to say he's a far-right blogger. Now, I don't know where the fuck they're getting that from. I have listened to this guy. Every one of you knows me. I'm very fucking far left here. I listen to all this guy's... I wouldn't say far left. I'm in the middle somewhere. But I've been listening to this guy. This guy is not on the fucking right. I do not know where the fuck they are getting far right from. Alt-right? Again, I don't know where the fuck they're getting this from. Dark Enlightenment Society? Like, alright. I can kind of see the Dark Enlightenment bit. That's, the dark web. Fucking Eric Weinstein's thing. Almost called him Einstein. Pretty much is. But anyway, this caught my interest. Peter Thiel. If you don't know who Peter Thiel is, he's the owner of Thiel Capital. Highly recommend you go check that out. Eric actually works for Peter Thiel, so that's how I first found Peter Thiel there. Peter Thiel is the first investor into Facebook. Okay, before Facebook was public, before Facebook went into anything, he invested in it. I think he took $200 million, gave it to him, to the Zuck, gave it to the Zuck. Then next minute, he's worth $4 billion. Okay, so Peter Thiel is very intelligent. He knows what the fuck he's doing. So to see his name listed there on his, fake Wikipedia site, pretty fucking impressive. Now, why they're calling him far right, I don't know. This guy is left. He's very clearly left. So I think somewhere along that, there's my fucking opinion, I think somewhere along the lines he has, pissed off the wrong person and they've now labelled him as a far right. I honestly do not consider this guy right. He may self-identify as that, I don't know. But from what I've seen, from what I've listened to, I don't get that at all. So we'll get into this video here. It's pretty good. I think it's called Rage. He'll break that down and explain that in a bit more detail than what I can. I want to stress this video I found online, I'll link it down below, had the worst fucking audio you can imagine, okay? The crowd was overpowering. You could barely hear what Curtis was saying. There was, oh my God, it was inaudible, okay? You could not hear what the fuck he was saying. I am by no means an audio engineer or an audio editor of any fucking kind, okay? I've had to teach myself over the past 2 or 3 days to improve the quality of this. And when I say improve, I am using that word very loosely, okay? The audio quality on this is still very, very bad. If anyone out there can edit audio better, please do. Please do, because this video needs to get out there. But I've done the best I can. I apologize. It's still not great. I'm not going to pretend it's great by any fucking means. It's not. It's still shit. But compared to what it is, go listen below. It's fucking bad. So we'll get right into it. I've also edited, if you can see in the background here, how to reboot the US government. This is like a projector he's got going, and he shows some images in the projector on the background, but he doesn't display them on the screen. So they just come through as blurry shit in the background. Some images I've been able to find and then edit into it so you can actually see it, and so you can actually see what he's talking about. I haven't been able to do it for everything because there are some stuff that I couldn't see on there. I couldn't read. I couldn't make out where it's from. There's also an interview with Hillary Clinton talking about how she killed Gaddafi. I've put that in there as well because that is relevant to the talk. Pretty sure that covers everything. Let's just get into it and see how we go.
This talk is how to reboot the U.S. government. So we're up and running. Please give a warm welcome from Mench's Mulbug.
All right, can you hear me? Control insurrection. Now, we've got a fairly difficult problem up here. Is there anyone in the audience who feels that this is a bad idea, who likes the U.S. government the way it is, who doesn't want to reboot it? Can I see some hands? Bueller? Oh, one over there, great. Okay, well, I'll convince you.
Just think about that for a second. This crowd is quite large. This isn't the full clip, so you don't get to see it in this one. I should see if I can find a photo. If I can find a photo, I'll put it in. There's one person, okay? Out of a crowd of about 100 people, there's one. I mean, granted, those people aren't going to the event, but still, to have out of a crowd of 100, one person want to keep the current American system, that just speaks monuments. That's insane.
Not reboot, like, get rid of those. You're anticipating it. So, obviously, very complicated problem. So, I like to simplify things. So, I've reduced this very complicated problem to a simple 4-letter acronym, which is RAGE. And RAGE stands for Retire All Government Employees. Very, very, very simple. Now, the problem with this is, why have we never heard this before? Why has no one ever suggested, let's just get rid of this thing? To a substantial extent, it's because most people are operating under a delusion that they do this every 4 years. They thought in 2008, hey, we created this government in 2008, and it was just the same. The reality is, as anyone who knows Washington knows, that the politicians you elect in these democratic elections are really entirely superfluous to the mechanism of Washington. They change things a little bit. You know, it matters a little bit whether you vote for Democrats or Republicans, but basically, if the whole system were, the whole electoral system, all this, you know, how a bill becomes a law, all this stuff you learned in 11th grade, all this appeared, Washington would go on running exactly as it's running now. So, we have kind of a serious problem here, and really, the problem from...
I do want to stress, that is a bold claim. Okay, so you're immediately thinking what the fuck? Like that, he's coming out of fucking left field, just fucking hitting a home run, smashing it, right? Using metaphors that I'm not using properly, right? Sorry about that one. Now, he backs this up, okay? He's not just making wild claims. He is actually going to go on to make that statement a valid statement, which is very fucking impressive. Either that is because their country has reached a point of collapsing, or because the points he's making are going to be very valid. Okay, so I understand that is a big fucking claim. I would not be putting this video up if I didn't in some ways agree with him. Okay, so I honestly believe that over the course of this video, he is going to explain that and he's going to make it sound reasonable. And not only that, he's going to come up with a solution as to what we can do, which I've never heard anyone do before, but he's doing. And holy shit, it's incredible. I'm talking too much. Let's just get back into it.
The perspective of you, the Democratic voting audience, is this seems obvious once you look at it, but it's not obvious to the average American. And it's because the average American is living in a very different reality in which this is just the craziest possible idea of, oh my god, it's fire again. So I'm going to show you some slides that will hopefully help you adjust your historical reality a little bit, because history is one of my passions. And so first, let's look at this fascinating picture. Does anyone recognize the author of this work? That is a cartoon by Dr. Seuss, and I would describe that as a racist cartoon. Would you call that racist? Do you think of Dr. Seuss as a racist?
No way. No way. Every single person I know has grown up on Dr. Seuss's books. Everyone I know, myself included, everyone. I do not know a single person who does not know who Dr. Seuss is. And yet, I have never in my life seen this propaganda before by Dr. Seuss. Never. Never seen it. And here it is, clear as day. Links in the description. This is real. This is not made up. Someone else didn't draw this. Dr. Seuss drew that. I'm blown away. Without this guy, I would never have known that. I would never have fucking known that.
What's more interesting is, okay, this is a World War II cartoon, but look at the date.
I couldn't find the date. I couldn't find the date he did it. If anyone can, please post it down. I doubt this guy is lying, though, with the amount of other stuff that he said. I do believe him. I could be wrong. If anyone does have it, please, description, link it.
The date on this is actually before Pearl Harbor. So why is Dr. Seuss drawing racist cartoons of Japanese before Pearl Harbor? Does anyone, raise your hand if you think you know the answer. Got it. So let's look at another of these. This one's even funnier. Very, very strange, is it not? This is real. This is really published, and you might be wondering why was Dr. Seuss, obviously the later Dr. Seuss is, as progressive as can be. Maybe he was just unenlightened this time. No, this actually appeared in New York's leading progressive newspaper, PM, in 1941. Believe me, the people who wrote for PM were not racists. So what's going on here? Let's look at another slide. Alright, this is an ad from the American Mercury, 1943. Probably can't read all of this, so I'm going to zoom in a little bit, but this is published by Pan Am, and it appeared in many publications. And let's look at some of the strange details on this material. Now, if you start reading this, you notice Carlo Sforza, leader of Free Italy. Okay, what is Free Italy? Who made Carlo Sforza leader of Free Italy? What kind of post-war world are we fighting to create? According to Carlo Sforza, it's one with an organized world with no more place for the anarchical independence of the nationalistic states. Well, that's very peculiar. He repeats himself over here. Nationally, that the previous complete independence of nations must cease. They must submit to a superior international law. Now, does this resemble the story of World War II that you're familiar with? Do you think of World War II as a war to eliminate the independence of nations and make them submit to a superior something, which made Carlo Sforza the leader of Free Italy?
Definitely not. Definitely not. There's no fucking way. There's no fucking way. That is not my understanding of World War II at all. And yet this guy is trying to say, and he makes a very good point of it, that that is not what the rest of the world was thinking. In fact, not the rest of the world. The entire world was thinking before America got into World War II. What the fuck? I challenge you. I challenge you to find a person that thought this is what was going on before World War II started. I had to watch this multiple times because I did not believe this. I've gone and researched this. This is all real. I can't speak for everything he says here. However, these articles that he is bringing up are all real. I will link them down below. You can go look at them. These are all real.
I foresee a peace conference which we might agree to draw on frontiers very lightly with a pencil and not in indelible ink. So, people, if you read the news now, the Prime Minister of Italy just got fired basically by the EU and replaced with, an EU bureaucrat, and people are like, well, what's happened to Italy's sovereignty and independence? Well, looks like that might have happened a long time ago. So, when you look at this, at these genuine historical documents, they should put you in a place where you're almost wondering if I forged these documents. I didn't. But these documents are real documents, and they're from a reality which is not really the reality that you read in history books. You might almost say that there's something a little bit Orwellian about that. Let's demonstrate a few.
This is obviously one of the slides I couldn't track down. I have no fucking clue what this slide says.
Orwellian things about the way we think of the world today. You've probably heard, if you've seen Hillary Clinton on CNN, you've probably heard her talking about global leadership. You might even have heard her saying, we came, we saw, he died.
So, that is the land of unconfirmed reports.
Yes, we came, we saw, he died.
Did it have anything to do with your visit?
No, I'm sure it did.
That was real. That was real. It's pure evil.
Relative to a certain world leader. And you will never see this described as world domination. What's the difference between global leadership and world domination? Does anyone have no answer? The U.S. does just world domination. Other people do it as global leadership. I think that the U.S. is generally considered the global leader. Here's another interesting, nice, nasty one. You'll notice you have very high positives for the word democracy, very high negatives.
So that comment just there about the politics and democracy fucked me up real hard, because in another one of his talks he puts it into layman's terms, and it has still fucked with me. About a week and a half later, it's still, for whatever reason, in my brain it's just fucking me. Okay, he goes like this. I'm paraphrasing here, so if I fuck it up, I do apologize. He says, when you think of the term bring democracy to a country, you immediately think of something good. You immediately think, yes, go do that. That is a good thing. However, when you use the phrase bring politics to that country, that is immediately a negative thing to say, and something that you don't want to do. Like getting involved in the political system now. Everyone doesn't want to do that because the majority of people, a strong 95%, would say that the political system is broken and politics doesn't work. Like if you're going to make something politicized, that means to ruin something. That means to ruin that thing. However, both words are the same. They have the same meaning. To politicize something and to democratize something. These are the same meanings. So why does politics have such a negative connotation, and why does democracy have such a positive connotation? It's so strange, and it's been fucking with me for a while. Interested to hear your thoughts? Chuck them down below. See if we can get a discussion going down below actually about that. I'd love to hear everyone's thoughts on that, because at the moment, that is something that's been fucking with my head, and I would really like to know what I'm missing or where I'm going wrong there, because yeah, it's been causing me a lot of it's been fucking with my head a lot. I've even had a few nights where I've lost sleep over it and couldn't get to bed because it was just playing back in my head. I'm like, what the fuck is that? And I can't work out why it was affecting me so much. So if anyone's got opinions on this, please comments down below. Let's hear it. Let's hear why that is so. The words that mean the same thing, why they have such different connotations. Please, let's get it going.
The word politics. What's politics without democracy? What's democracy without politics? They're opposites in terms of their meaning, but in terms of their emotional connotations, they seem to mean the same thing. Okay, here are some authoritative sources. One, which most of the people in the audience probably trust, is the New York Times. Another, which most people in the audience probably distrust, is the Vatican. Okay, how did the New York Times acquire this position of authority? If you go to Wikipedia, you'll find a policy called WP Reliable, under which the New York Times is certainly a reliable source. The Vatican is certainly not a reliable source. How do you acquire that status? How do you lose it? What does this mean? Another interesting pair, you've probably heard this if you've been exposed to many libertarians. They sort of wonder why, hey, racism and fascism are nasty. Okay, why are racism and fascism nasty? Could it be because Hitler was a racist and a fascist and he killed 6 million people? Yeah, it could be. That seems very logical. Except that you realize, and then you say, well, what do we do about racism and fascism? Well, we have this extremely elaborate mechanism for persecuting racists and fascists. Let's just call it what it is. We have a very elaborate mechanism for firing them, for destroying their lives, etc., etc. And then there's communism and socialism, which really killed actually a lot more people.
A lot more. Stalin compared to Hitler, you can't compare them. They're two different figures throughout history. Stalin wiped out insane amounts of people, and it never gets talked about, or very rarely gets talked about, sometimes by scholars, but very rarely by everyone else. Hitler is the main talking point, which I've always found strange. I've never understood that one.
If you try to imagine America with a mechanism for persecuting communists and socialists the way we persecute racists and fascists, you're imagining a very different country. So you'll often hear, libertarians and conservatives ask, what gives with this? You'll never hear them answer the question. You'll never hear them say either, should we stop persecuting racists and fascists, or should we start persecuting communists and socialists? Very difficult question. Then we have another strange one, nationalism. German nationalism, bad. Italian nationalism, good in the 19th century, bad in the 20th century. Polish nationalism, good. German nationalism, bad. Black nationalism, good. White nationalism, bad. What gives? Then we have a number of people who believe very strongly in constitutional rights. Now, there are some people who believe that the entirety of the Constitution should be enforced. There are other people who tend to poo-poo little strange things like the gold standard clause in the Second Amendment, but they believe very strongly in the First Amendment. How exactly does that work? If we didn't have these old people, 200 years ago hadn't passed the First Amendment, would you have any right to free speech?
It's just such a great point. It's such a great point. We've got to remember that's an amendment. Okay? So the First Amendment is that you have free speech. So what was it before? What was it before that? No free speech? Very interesting. These are very interesting concepts. And you very rarely get to hear people actually talk about this stuff. It's just assumed to be fact. It's just assumed. And no one ever questions it. So, yeah, that's why I was so drawn into this, guys, because he's bringing up questions which have monumental answers to them. It's, yeah. I hope this is making you think. I hope you're all enjoying this. I know I definitely am. So I think that's all that really matters at the end of the day, because no one's watching these videos to the end.
Very confusing. Whereas the people who believe that the Constitution should be entirely enforced, well, the Constitution isn't being entirely enforced. It hasn't been enforced in many ways since 1933, arguably since 1861. So if the Constitution stops being enforced, is it still an text in the Constitution. Maybe it's a former Constitution. Maybe it has no relevance at all. Maybe we're just living in a state of force. So, these are questions that I could get into, and I could actually answer, give an opinion on these questions. But we're instead going to move on and say,
That was not me that edited that part there where it just jumped. I don't know what that was. I don't know what he said there. I haven't been able to find it. So I don't know what was said there, and I don't know what was cut out.
an Orwellian political system. And when you get sucked into these riddles, you're really falling into the trap of this Orwellian system. The correct answer is, in fact, step back and say, let's throw the whole thing out. Maybe the whole thing is crap. And that involves questioning some of our most basic beliefs. Probably everyone in this room grew up living in democracy. So here's an interesting question for people who believe in democracy. Is it an engineering device which produces good government? Or is it a moral necessity? Even whether or not A is true, is either of these true, or are they both true? Why do you believe in democracy exactly? Why do people growing up in the Soviet Union believe in communism? If you think of it as an engineering device for assuring good government, you might cast your eye over the number of cases in which democracy has been introduced into countries and they've promptly fallen into ruins. You might see very few cases of the reverse. If you believe it's a moral necessity, why? Why do people have a right to political power? Again, I would say difficult questions. So here's my answer to this. Basically, you need to just, if you actually want to change your political system, you have to resign from it. You have to quit, you have to stop voting, you have to say, I don't...
Stressing here, I do not believe with what this guy is saying. This is his views. If you want to choose to believe them, go for it. Okay, but I am not saying that I agree with these. Okay, in fact, what he's advocating for here is to completely give up on the system. He may be right, but at this stage in my life, I do not think that that is a good idea. I think that we still need it. I could be wrong. He could be right. He is much smarter than I am. I will give him that. So he could be right about this, and I could be a fucking moron right now. But at this present time in my life, I do not believe that that is the correct way of going about doing things. Just want to make that clear. Just want that to be fucking known.
believe in any of this stuff. And you have no right to political power. Why should anyone have any right to political power? The reality of your relationship with your government is you're governed by it. You have no power over it. And moreover, actually, you have no real experience or ability in how to run a government. You don't know anything about running a government. You know only about watching this, reality show called CNN. And if you look at the reality of Washington, first of all, people in Washington are not doing a great job of running a government, even though they do it every day. And secondly, Americans have no idea what goes on in Washington. I mean, the reality...
I would agree with that here in this country as well. No Australian knows what the fuck is going on in Canberra. No one. No one. There may be a select few, but to say that all Australians know what is going on in Canberra, I don't think you would find anyone in Australia that would agree with that sentence. There's no way. There's no way. Yeah. It's sad and it's fucked up, and I don't know why it is. Politics is boring, maybe, I guess. I don't know. Maybe it's overcomplicated. Maybe people don't want to waste their time with it. I don't know. But yeah, we don't give a fuck what goes down in Canberra. No one. No one I know. No one they know. There's a select few. But overall, by a large margin, no one gives a fuck.
The reality of this political system, is that it's just completely disconnected from the reality of government, and people working in government perceive little ripples coming down from your election, and that's all. So the only thing that you're in a position to demand is basically sane and responsible government, and you can demand that. But the only way to demand it is to stop caring about, stop with your political opinions. Your government should do this, government should do that. You have a government in Washington. You're either for it or against it. And saying it should do this, it should do that, is really rather beside the point when you have no power at all. So the one other thing that you can do is you can believe in history, because really this political system is not old. 200 years is not a very long time on historical time. And one of the interesting things that you'll find if you start going back in the wonderful world of Google Books is you can actually read things that were written a long time ago. For example, there's one wonderful document. Everybody's read the Declaration of Independence. Very few people have read the strictures on the Declaration by Thomas Hutchinson, which is basically a fisking of it, revealing how ridiculous a document this is. I'd say less than 1,000 Americans have read it.
I'll see if I can find it and put it in the video.
Magnificent piece of work. I'm just going to page through a few of my favorite works, which you'll find discussed on the blog, and then we'll get to the end page slide. Here's another great one, the Civil War. We really don't have time to talk about this. My favorite author, Carlyle, was one of the few Victorians to predict that the 20th century would be a century of enormous disasters. Henry Bain, who explained basically that democracy really gets nowhere back in the 1880s, prominent British lawyer. Classic debunking of World War I, published in 1915. Everyone is pretty much still under the spell of World War I mythology. Here's your World War II mythology. There's still a lot of things we don't know about World War II. We don't know, for example, to what extent America knew about Stalin's claim to invade Germany in 1941. And this is really one of my favorite books of political science. This is James Burnham's The Machiavellians, discussing the Italian elitist school of the 20s and 30s, and really the importance of seeing politics in terms of reality. And reality has very little to do with what you see on CNN. And finally, we get to the rest of, and I'm just going to go over this very briefly. What is a government? A government is just a corporation which owns the country. Nothing more, nothing less. And, if you think that corporations can own countries, you would be right, because that's what they are. It so happens that our sovereign corporation is very poorly managed. And there's a very simple way to replace that, which is what we do to all corporations that have failed. We simply delete them. We say, okay, you know what? You used to work for Kodak. Kodak is no longer in existence. You need to find a new job. Your 401k is still there. And, maybe there needs to be a new camera company. We haven't been able to do that with our government for 200 years. So it's gotten a little bit stale. Now, I'm anything but an anarchist. Obviously you can't send the police and the military home tomorrow. Fortunately, the people that are actually law enforcement officials are some of the least powerful in the government, because actually power flows top down in the security area. They actually obey orders. Most of the government power actually flows bottom up, because the people who really control policy are the permanent bureaucrats. I come from a family of permanent bureaucrats, so I know that. The other thing about getting rid of your government is you can't just say, well, the limits of the government are the limits of the formal government. You have to say, well, what is the system actually? And it includes a lot of things that are called NGOs, things that are called universities, things that are funded by the state. It's a very, very large system, and it all needs to be destroyed. Fortunately, there's a lot of talented Americans who actually know how to run things and make things work, and are generalists. And you can just get these people, put them in a position of responsibility, and have them do their thing. And finally, you need a CEO, and a national CEO is what's called a dictator. It's the same thing. There's no difference between a CEO and a dictator. If Americans want to change their government, they're going to have to get over the dictator phobia. One way of dealing with that is that I think there are really two sects of Americans. There are red state Americans and blue state Americans, Christians and communists, basically. Christians don't want to live under a communist dictator, and communists don't want to live under a Christian dictator. There's a very easy solution. There's a very easy solution to that, which is simply
Dictator phobia. Now, again, I'm not saying I agree with that. I don't know if having a dictator is a good idea. To me, it immediately sounds like a fucking bad idea. So, again, though, I'm a fucking moron. This guy's clearly smart. I don't know who's right in this situation. I think that I'm right because a dictator sounds fucking bad. But again, I don't know. I'm only in my fucking 20s. This guy's clearly gone through a way better education system than I have. So he clearly knows a lot more than what I know.
hire two executives, have them make sure they work together, and there's really no other solution to, getting, there's simply, as you don't have the power as Democratic voters to create an organization that can actually shut the system down, let alone take over the task of governing. All right, you don't have questions?
We're running behind, so we're trying to catch up.
All right, well, thank you very much, everyone.
Keeping on for Manchester Smallbuck, if you'd like to ask questions, Michelle will make.
So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed that. Hope you all got something out of it. Please leave the comments down below. I'd be very interested to come back and actually follow this up with another video based on what the comments are saying, because at the moment there's so much in there, so much to unpack, and it's very full on in a lot of parts. And I mean, he seems to know what he's talking about. Like, he seems to have the right fucking idea. So when he's putting through these concepts of this stuff, some of it resonates, some of it doesn't resonate, but some of it does. So yeah, I'd be fucking interested to hear what everyone else has to say. So please, yeah, let's see if we can get a conversation going down below, and we'll come back to it maybe in like a couple of weeks' time or something, and see if anything's built from it. All right, thanks for watching.